Hollywood stars inject foreign genes to maintain eternal youth. Today, I'm going to present to you an Anglo-American French feminist film from the year 2024, titled Substance. Beware of spoilers. Be cautious. A human hand, clad in a black glove, injects a mysterious substance into an egg yolk, and after a few minutes, it splits open to reveal an identical egg. Meanwhile, the star of Academy Award winner Elizabeth Sparkle is revealed on Hollywood's famous Avenue of Stars. Time goes by and the star's brilliance dims, as Sparkle's name doesn't shine as brightly as it once did. She now hosts an aerobics show on television. Despite being half her age, she's in excellent shape and looks quite good. One day, however, she heads to the restroom, and when she finds the ladies' room occupied, she decides to enter the men's room. Inside the cubicle, she overhears the voice of the show's producer, Harvey, mentioning that Elizabeth is now too old and that the program requires a younger and more attractive woman. It's time for him to pack up. She's retired. After all, she won her Oscar in cinema's early days, and now it's time to make way for the younger generation. A worried Elizabeth goes to lunch with the producer, who smilingly announces her retirement and leaves with a friend. The woman spots a fly in her wine glass and feels just as helpless. Returning home, the actress is distracted by workers removing her billboard, resulting in an accident. At the hospital, the doctor recognizes the star and compliments her, but the woman starts crying because her fame has faded. Embarrassed, the doctor says goodbye and leaves, but a young nurse unexpectedly examines Elizabeth's back, muttering, "I was perfect for the experiment." Before leaving, she slips a flash drive into her pocket with an ad for a product called Substance. Elizabeth reads the product's name. When she talks to the older man, it turns out to be her old schoolmate, Fred. He's glad to see her and suggests they meet up to reminisce about their youth. Fred jots down his number on a random piece of paper, wets it in a puddle, and gives it to Elizabeth, who acts happy to see an old friend. In truth, he was causing her deep depression, especially when she finds a bouquet at home thanking her for years of cooperation. After reading Elizabeth's card, she places the flash drive on the TV and watches a commercial for a substance, a shot of which unlocks her DNA. It starts cell division, creating another version of herself. This is the substance. The person is the matrix. Although they are two different personalities, they are still the same person. Just an improved version that will be younger, more beautiful, and more perfect. The two personalities must live in symbiosis and change every 7 days, always remembering that they are one. Elizabeth goes to the bar and, observing the happy bar, realizes her loneliness. He comes back to his home, and after a lot of thinking and recalling, he dials the number he was given and decides to order the substances. He holds on to the number from a postcard, which shows where he can pick up the product. The conversation wraps up quickly. Meanwhile, the woman has a night that is truly invaluable, and when morning comes, she notices an advertisement in the newspaper seeking candidates to take over her role as the host of the program. Simultaneously, she discovers a letter in the mailbox containing a card and the number for a box of substances. Determined, Elizabeth sets off to pick up the package. Using a card, she opens a covered door in an old building and finds a warehouse with a package waiting for her. At home, Elizabeth opens the box. All the ingredients of the substance are neatly packed in pouches and labeled: activator, stabilizer, second T-switch, food for the matrix, food for the second one. The activator needs to be used only once, but the stabilizer needs to be fed daily, and it comes from matrix cells. Most importantly, the couple needed to change places every 7 days, without any exceptions whatsoever, and they had to always remember that they are united as one. In the morning, Elizabeth takes a long, thoughtful look at herself in the mirror, observing the signs of aging on her face. Finally, she uses a disposable activator, and then she is overwhelmed by an indescribable pain. The woman collapses to the floor, writhing in agony as her back splits open, and a younger version of herself emerges from within. The new personality slowly recovers, and, looking into the mirror, she sees the reflection of a young and very beautiful girl. She gloats about her new form for a while, but then notices Elizabeth's body. First, she cleans it, stitching the terrible tear on her back, then goes to sleep. In the morning, the girl showers, but suddenly feels ill. She pulls out special syringes and injects a stabilizer taken from the spine of the unconscious matrix, or Elizabeth. Then she goes to the salon, thrilled with her young, strong body. Later, the girl goes to a casting, on the way buying a seductive swimsuit, takes the name Sui and makes a stunning impression on the producer's assistant. Finally, on Harvey himself, Sui is chosen as the show's new host, although she immediately warns that she will be leaving every 7 days to care for her sick mother. It's totally Harvey's adventures, as viewers are sure to love it. Sue is beginning to enjoy the fame, that once belonged to the original version. The week flies by, and it's time for a change. Sui attaches special tubes to her Rama, letting the substance circulate through her body. Soon, Elizabeth wakes up while Sui's body enters a coma. Elizabeth gets organized and heads to the TV studio, where Harvey gives her a gift from the team. At home, she marks days on her calendar when she can be herself. She spends all her time at home. By the end of the week, she gets a message about a new shipment of substances sent to her post office box. 7 days later, they change once more. Sui is thoroughly enjoying her new lifestyle, starring in commercials and savoring her increasing popularity. Yet, one day, she begins to ponder the Matrix's body, and she starts preparing a secret room in the bathroom. When the work is done, a neighbor knocks at the door, complaining about the noise from the tools. Upon seeing Sui, the man instantly falls for her charms and offers to help, but she quickly slams the door shut and hides the Elizabeth's body in a secret room, then replaces her portrait on the wall with her own. Sui's program becomes a huge success, and viewership grows to the delight of the producer. The girl makes new friends, starts going to parties. One evening, she moves a young man into her house, but when the situation becomes intimate, she suddenly feels bad and reminds herself that it's time for a change. Sue rushes to a secret room and performs an additional stabilization procedure. She spends the night with a young man and exchanges with Elizabeth later than expected. When Elizabeth wakes, she finds the living room in chaos and her hands aching. She struggles to calm herself and calls the supplier's number, but they tell her the changes can't be undone, reminding her they are united. Elizabeth cleans the apartment, then watches a recording of the new Sui program on TV. She admits she's very beautiful. Later, she hears a neighbor asking for a date, but he doesn't answer the door. Soon, he gets a new batch of substance. On his way back, he stops at a coffee shop where an older man starts a conversation, complaining that 7 days is too long to wait for his body to return. He drops his cards, and Elizabeth notices one identical to her substance card. She sees in his eyes the young nurse who encouraged her experiment. He understands that with each change, it becomes increasingly difficult to remember she deserves to exist. Soon, the second personality starts to literally consume her. Elizabeth rushes home, bumping into Sui's boyfriend, who doesn't recognize her, but this reminds her of Fret. She calls his number, and her eager classmate sets up a meeting at a coffee shop. Elizabeth tunes up, paints her, and hides her hands under gloves. However, she unexpectedly sees a billboard with Sui. Her own reflection immediately disappoints her, so she changes her makeup and then washes it off completely. Crying, she rips off her dress and stays at home, ignoring a persistent phone call from Fred, being consumed by stress and insecurity. When Sui's turn comes, the girl enters the set and begins the program. However, while she is exercising, she suddenly feels something protruding from beneath the skin on her buttocks. The girl immediately halts the recording, and the bewildered cameraman attempts to comprehend what he has just captured. Sue rushes to the bathroom, where she discovers a gust on her back and extracts an impactor from her navel. She realizes that while she is diligently sewing, Elizabeth is indulging in overeating at home. Sui becomes enraged, contaminates the substance operator, but in response, she only hears that they are one. They have weeks. One day, Sui urgently calls Harvey to announce that she will be the new host of the New Year's show. The pinnacle of her career is transpiring, however, more and more. She abuses the stabilizer, which causes Elizabeth's body to age. At an accelerated pace, when Elizabeth wakes up again, she discovers that she is old and infirm, with stiff joints and almost completely gray hair. The woman calls the substance's operator, and he suggests ending the experiment, but there is no way to restore her to her former state. She convinces herself to stop the experiment, but can't give up such a beautiful second version of herself, even though her knees barely function. Elizabeth recalls a gift from Harvey. It turns out to be a cookbook. The woman throws herself into the whirlwind of new recipes with renewed energy, while Sui continues to dominate the TV screens. One day, Elizabeth hears Sui laughing at her, mocking the aging star, which drives her to even greater madness. Enraged Elizabeth vows to end the experiment. The day of change arrives, and Sui is once again left with a room full of leftover food and empty bottles. In order to gain independence and take advantage of Matrix's helplessness, Sui accumulates stabilizers for 3 months. However, the day before the live broadcast, the stabilizer runs out. Sue calls the supplier asking for more, but he says Elizabeth is the only source, and they have to barter to replenish the supply. There is no other option. Sue, barely conscious, starts her shift. Her boyfriend hears strange sounds coming from the bathroom, but the girl doesn't open the door because inside is now a monstrous bald woman with a deformed hump. The hunchback screams at him and the Hun runs away. Elizabeth, now a repulsive creature, calls the substance operator, crying for the end of the experiment. Then she sets off to get one final batch. Upon returning home, she drags Sui's body into the living room, getting ready to inject the serum that will end her duplicate's life. With a syringe in hand, Elizabeth takes a moment to look around. She gazes at Sui's portraits for quite a while. She comes to the realization that she cannot bring herself to kill her younger self. Elizabeth revives Sui, and when the girl sees the half-empty syringe, she understands what Elizabeth had planned to do. She flies into a rage and kills Matrix. Then she attends the New Year's show in a stunning gown. Suddenly, Sui feels ill and rushes to the bathroom. After Matrix's death, Sui's body starts to decay quickly. Her teeth fall out, preventing her from smiling at the sponsors, which Harvey desperately wants. Then a nail falls off and finally an ear. Panicked, Sui hurries home and injects herself with a final dose of activator, hoping to create a new version of herself. However, a monstrous hybrid of the two versions is created. The monster recalls his audition and tries to beautify himself. Donning a gown and handmade Elizabeth mask, he then heads to the show's set. When he reaches the TV center, he gets on stage and addresses the audience. The mask, however, falls off. Shrill screams fill the hall, and the audience calls the monster. People flee in panic. One of the men cuts off her head, after which her massacred body floods the entire hall with blood. Her remains decompose into entrails. Elizabeth's face moves to the actress's star on the Avenue of Slosk, looking up. She smiles and dissolves. The next morning, someone washes away the remaining blood, erasing the actress's complete memory. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. Thank you for watching.